once again, we are live. Today is Monday, September 12th, 2022. We are airing exclusively on Twitch and powered by StreamYard. It's Empire State of Baseball on a Monday at 7 o'clock p.m. for the first time. What's up, guys? How we doing? It's been a while. I completely gaffed on an intro. It's been a while for me. So, back here, episode number 23, Empire State of Baseball. We have a new face here with us. Unfortunately, we don't have Corey Favs tonight for the first time. Corey was our Iron Man throughout this entire first season of Empire State of Baseball. Didn't miss an episode until tonight. So, in his stead, once again, we have Jonathan Hernandez. What's up, John?
I'm back, and I'm happy to be here, and let's go.
Let's go.
I'm excited to have me and John on the same broadcast.
Things might get violent. Might be some violence.
I know. We're going to see two dead Met fans by the top of the hour.
Oh, God. Here we go. Already getting started at 7:01 p.m. And, yes, we are on a new start time now officially with football season underway. How did we do yesterday? And
I don't want to talk
about it. FanDuel, any of that? Anybody want to talk about? Oh, John's already gone. So that's
handle it.
How much his
I guess that's why they call him the 1 minute man. I don't know.
Done like that. My goodness.
Welcome back, everyone.
Ravens beating up on the Jets yesterday. That was, I guess, good for you. The Giants pulling out one. But it is not Empire State of Football. It is, of course, Empire State of Baseball. We are at the 7 o'clock hour. And let's get into it. And obviously, we're going to talk a bunch of Yankees and Mets baseball. But I know Joe in particular wanted to talk about some of the new rule changes that were happening for the 2023 season. Is there anything in particular, Joe, as John's coming back in, anything in particular, Joe, that really stood out to you as far as these new rules go at in baseball?
Listen, and Rich, you work for the Somerset Patriots part-time, so you understand – the pitch clock, there's certain things I like. The first things first, I don't think there's anybody in baseball that necessarily disagrees with increasing the size of the bases 3 inches. I don't think anybody cares.
I keep getting told how that's going to matter, and I guess yes, technically, if you're like stealing second, it's 3 inches closer, but like I don't know. I'm not been convinced of how that's going to be a huge change. I know for like safety. And plays at first, maybe that can help. But I don't know. That one is. I think that one's like a whatever.
The bases aren't that big of a deal. I thought if you were going to do something with the bases, you would add the runner base at first base to reduce spike instances of people getting spiked and making it a little easier for the umpires to discern when a foot hits the bag versus when the ball hits the bag. I think nobody really has an objection to that. That was the only one that the players actually voted to approve. And as far as visually, I don't think that's going to impact the game. You're not going to see it on television.
Joe will have that 3 inches is not enough to impact anyone's
correct. I don't
enjoyment of any event.
We had to go there already. But yeah, out of the rule changes that I like, I honestly, I'm with the pitch clock, man. And I thought I wasn't years ago, but I watched this this comparative this pitch sequence that it was the same pitcher compared to a minor league game and a Major League Baseball game. The same pitcher was in a year ago. I believe it was Blake Parker, who's been around the majors before. And they did the entire sequence, and it was the same like 5-pitch sequence. And it was like a 40-second differential. It was something ridiculous along those lines. So, yeah, Joe, you made mention of it before with my employment status with the Somerset Patriots. And, yes, I've seen it firsthand. So, yes, it is definitely going to be a welcome change. The expanded bases, the pitch clock. I don't think any of these changes. And, we can – I guess the shift is more going to be a conversation of what side you sit on. But, John, when you look at these new rule changes for 2023, which one do you feel doesn't have a place in baseball, or do you feel like all three should be introduced to the game ASAP?
So we talked about it in the group chat. I think biggest issue is just kind of the step off, because that's a strategy thing. Like like throwing over the first base and stuff, like limiting that kind of stuff. That's strategy at the end of the day. Like, so now if I step off on, let's just say 2 pitches or whatever, what is that, 3, I think.
On 3, you have to pick them off, otherwise it's a block.
Right, but now it's if I get to that third one, right? It's just open season. The runners are just going to go.
Mhm.
You know, it's just, I don't know. I think that kind of takes a little strategy out of the game. I like the pitch clock. I think that's a good way to get people moving. You know, we got human rain delays like Steve Traxel back in the day. You can't have any more of that. You got to throw the ball.
Bassett's not quick either.
Yeah, and
Bassett takes his time.
Who was the one we talked about last time? Montas. Oh God.
Montas. Oh my God, that Yankee game.
Talk about a human rain delay. That guy just like takes his sweet time going to the plate. But the bases, whatever, you know, it's safety. Sure, no problem. That's fine. Like I said, the only one I have is anything that I think that affects strategy to the game, which I think the step off does, because at the end of the day, like, you're just trying to keep the runners close, because if not, it's just open season. Look at, you know, just look at the Mets in the past with Syndergaard and guys like that can't keep a runner on first base, and they're just running like crazy. So now if you put something where you can only limit how many times you can throw over, how many times you can step off, now that's a strategy thing, and I'm not a fan of that. But the rest of them I don't have an issue with.
My question, does the bigger base eliminate the neighborhood play now?
It should. I would think that you're just going to be able to touch the bag. I mean, I feel like
they've got. Hasn't that not really been a rule? I feel like they've always had to.
Well, no, that ever since replay was instituted, because the neighborhood play doesn't exist, because now the manager goes to replay and they can tell when your foot's half an inch off the bag.
Yeah,
that's something I think we lost. The bigger bases is probably going to eliminate those very, very close plays like that even further, because there's going to be more room for the fielder to make contact with the bag. But I don't think that's basically been out of the game for a long time since replay was instituted. I think the biggest, two things. The pitch clock, I like the pitch clock because if you go to a minor league baseball game and then you watch a Major League Baseball game, the difference in pacing is massive with the pitch clock. I like it. I think a couple of these rules with the runners on base, with the throwovers, with clock violations, I'd like to see the pitch clock go away for postseason play, because I don't want a Game 7 with a 3-2 count decided by a ball or violation of a pitch clock. I'm sure that will get worked out some way. The biggest thing as far as impact to the game itself on the field and the results is going to be the shift restriction.
Mm-hmm.
We've said for years, I think I was originally on the side of letting the hitters decide and force teams back into the shift. That obviously has not happened. Studies have come out and said anywhere between 20 to 30% of hits in baseball have been taken away from the shift. That is a massive amount. I'm at the point now where I actually think that this is a good thing. I think this is going to accelerate our pace back to active live baseball. I think combined with the pitch clock to kind of slow pitchers' velocities a little bit, because they can't go 100% every single pitch for 45 seconds between pitches. You know, I think I've come around to the idea of banning the shift. And I think that that's something that, I think it's unfortunately the way it's been done. I think it will be a positive change that is needed at this point, because the hitters weren't evolving quick enough. And that's just
it's not just that. I mean, one, pitching has evolved so much. I mean, if you think about back to, early 2000s and, the 90s and obviously before that, a team might have one guy in the bullpen who threw like 98. Now, like, every team has like 4 or 5 of them. So, like, pitching has really evolved, and frankly, the thought of, well, pitchers, hitters should just evolve with the hit against the shift. Well, pitchers maybe can evolve to, like Joe's saying, to have more, control, to be able to spot your pitches better. Because once you can put a shift in and you are essentially throwing pitches that are just going to lead to ground balls to usually the right side. I know righties get shifted occasionally, but it's mostly lefties that got penalized by it. you're really kind of playing into their hand too. So I like it. I like the pitch clock as well. I wouldn't want to see it go away in the postseason. I think it's a change, especially because postseason games tend to drag. And listen, it's not like the clock is 5 seconds. There's plenty of time for the pitcher to get the ball, to figure out what he wants to throw and throw it. I mean, like every other sport, you have someone kind of forcing the action. A lot of every other team sport. So the fact that a pitcher could, as of now, take 2 minutes if they wanted to, just to stand on the mound and gather themselves. It does become much of a drain, I think, on watching some of these games.
It is, though, very frustrating to see professional baseball players get paid millions of dollars that don't know how to go to the opposite field. So to now take that element out of their game and anyone else's game down the line, because basically
it's not taking anyone's. I mean,
don't worry about trying to go up the field.
You
There's
can
no
still hit
anymore, guys.
You can still hit the ball the other way. There's no ban on.
Thing I wasn't a fan of.
No one's gonna ban a lefty from hitting the ball to the left side.
Absolutely.
So many guys just can't do it. I think that's just embarrassing. But I mean, like at the end of the day, you gotta learn how to hit the other way. But all you're gonna see now with the shift is you're gonna see the guys lining up right on the left side of the bag or the right side of the bag, whatever side it is. And all it's going to happen now is when the pitch is thrown, they're going to just sprint across to the other side. It's going to look silly for a little while, I think.
Well, what I think is more important, and I guess they could do this as well, is that they have to have their cleats on the dirt. Because I honestly don't even mind as much as if you want to put 3 guys on the right side or 3 guys on the left side of the infield, and just to stop a ground ball from getting through. What's really frustrating, I'm sure most of you would agree, is you see someone get a hit. Like, you hit a line drive to right field, and the second baseman is 25 feet deep. Like, that just becomes, it's like, that's a hit. That's a hit. So
they're eliminating the rover. I mean, that's the big thing. That second baseman or third baseman that plays that far out, it's essentially a rover like you have in some softball leagues, and that's got to be gone. But you know what? And usually I agree with you. I don't think it's up to the league to tell the defenses how to play. But this isn't
every sport
it
tells the defenses how to play.
This isn't the first league that's done this. I mean, hockey did this with the trapezoid for goalies fielding the puck. Basketball does this to an extent with the key where a big man can't stay.
Yeah, exactly. It's like,
So this is not the first time that this has happened in other leagues.
NFL has rules against
NFL basically can't touch the receiver after 5 yards. I mean, so it's going to look more like baseball. I think it is for the positive. I think at the end of the day, we're going to get to a point where people aren't really trying to cheat it, because I think it's actually going to take away the fielder's ability to field balls. If you have them moving after the pitch is released, you eliminate basically an entire side of their fielding range if they do that. So at that point, I'm pretty sure that we'll find out that the math basically will say, no, it's better at that point just to stay planted.
I agree with that too, yeah, because if the shortstop is basically on the one side of second, takes off at the pitch, if the ball is hit to his left, he can get there. But a ball that is hit to his right up the middle, he's got no chance to stop and turn and get back to it. He'd have a better chance if he stood on the other side of the base. And we also don't know what the penalty is, right? Because I know I saw a couple things out there that MLB executive said that there's going to be teams that do that. The shortstop is going to land up like in the track stance, and they're going to sprint on the pitch. But what happens if they're on the other side?
If there's a violation, what I heard was, if there's a violation and no contact is made, a ball is awarded. If there's contact made and it results in out or a hit, the team can choose to redo it or take the base. So if you move and make an out,
it's like catcher's interference, basically, right? Because catcher's interference, you do the same thing. You have the option to take the result if you want.
So they're
I thought catcher's interference, regardless, is the call on the field. You're
putting a penalty in. Are they putting a penalty in if you run across, or is it
if you violate the shift? So let's say the shortstop's lined up right behind second base,
right,
and runs to sprint across to the second base side before the pitch is released. If that ball, let's say that ball's hit as a fly out to left field, they will either let you redo that or award you the base.
So, but now there's no penalty if they do it when the pitch is released. So it's
correct.
Just
You
happen
can
on the
move
release.
after the pitch is released.
It's just going to happen on the release. Guys are going to be just sprinting across until either it starts happening where the ball gets hit the other way, and now you're not there, and you look like a moron because now the ball's getting hit through the hole, and you're sprinting to the right side.
Yeah, it's like putting runners in motion to open up holes. You're just kind of doing it to yourself. I'm sure there'll be someone that figures it out. Let's be honest, it's going to be the Rays. They always find a way around this stuff. They'll find some weird situation to make it work. They'll have the second baseman and the shortstop switch or something.
The majority will not. And I think also I think teams will be reluctant to do that anyway, because the result of that will be MLB instituting the trapezoid behind second base and giving you a dead zone where you cannot put a fielder at all, which they are experimenting with in the minors. If the teams cooperate and don't go and don't try and cheat it, that won't get implemented. But if they're going to push their luck, you're going to make it worse, and MLB is going to force you to ban any kind of infield shift at all. So that's what's going to happen there. So
well, I like this. I like that there's like some good communication on these rules, because I mean, there's a lot that we don't know yet. We don't know what the penalties are going to be, and we're going to see how it acts up in 2023. And until we get there, we definitely have some New York baseball that we got to cover, starting with the Mets. And before we get there, we have a few people in our chat. We'd like to see some more viewers, though. We do have a special guest host. We do have a special start time. Joe, what's the best way for people to check out our show tonight?
You can go to Twitch. You can download it or view it on the web browser and subscribe to Empire State of Baseball. The link is in our Twitter bio, which is at ESB Podcast. You can hit the notification button, get the notification right on your phone when we go live and when we start our broadcast every week. Be sure to download the app and follow us there.
Yes, sir. All right, Joe. Let's talk some New York Mets baseball here. Over here with the Queen's Gambit. We're covering the tightest race in Major League Baseball, and that is not hyperbole. The Mets have a 1.5 game lead over the Atlanta Braves, and you look at their upcoming schedule, and as a Met fan, you should feel pretty good with what you're seeing here, guys. And correct me if I'm wrong, but facing the Cubs, the Pirates, the Brewers, the A's, and the Marlins in the next 3 weeks makes you feel good inside. How confident are you guys feeling? Starting with John here, because before when you face all those teams, great, because the next team you're going to face at the end of the month is going to be the Atlanta Braves, and I'm sure the Mets would like to pick up some big ground going into that series.
Listen, I tell you what, I am the king of overreaction. Joe will tell you I'm the king of. They lose a game, I'm the first one. That's it. The world's ending. Everything's burning down. So, I mean, listen, this week alone, look at this week alone. They lost 2 out of 3 to the Nationals last weekend. And then you went to Pittsburgh, you lost 2 out of 3, which is just mind-numbing. And then
2 out of 4.
I'm sorry. They split, right? They split with them? They split with they won the doubleheader. So they lost that first game. That wasn't very good. And then, no, what was it? It was 2 out of 3. Yeah,
we won 2 out of 3.
Yeah,
we just lost the 3 in a row.
Right, and then they lost the 3 in a row. Right, so they lost 2 to Washington, 1 to Pittsburgh, won the doubleheader, lost to the Marlins on Friday. It was doom and gloom again, and then Saturday and Sunday the team comes back and puts up a ton of runs in 2 games in Miami. Listen, at the end of the day, you should feel confident. You should feel confident with the schedule. The problem is nothing's ever guaranteed in baseball, right? It's the one game where I guess football too, but anything can happen. Most of the time, the good team is going to win, but you don't know what's going to happen. And you see the schedule, and it's very encouraging. You feel very confident in it. But, man, I'll tell you what, the Braves do not lose. It's crazy. The Mariners did the Mets.
The Braves' schedule isn't too difficult either coming up.
No, their schedule's not difficult at all. But
I mean, they get they get the Giants now. Then they basically just go back and forth. They play the Phillies, they play the Nats, they play the Phillies, they play the Nats. So
yeah, but you know what? The Phillies and Giants are at least real teams. Those are Giants have fallen off, but the Phillies are fighting for their playoff lives. You know, the Phillies aren't gonna roll over for the Braves.
The Phillies also don't scare anybody. I don't think the Braves
also true.
Scare.
No, but I mean Milwaukee's also is fighting in there. you know, I think
I'm way down on Milwaukee.
Listen, I think
except for Corbin Burns,
I feel like you got to feel better about Milwaukee than Philly. But I mean, like, listen, the Mets have an easier road up until this final series, but I don't think it's drastically easy. It's not like the Braves are going through a gauntlet here, and the Braves are. I mean, frankly, the Braves they're better than every team they're playing as well. So it's going to be close.
Though, you like Joe said, though, the difference is the Mets are playing legitimately the bottom of the barrel. Like, I get what you're saying, Tom, but at the end of the day,
Braves get to play the Nats twice.
The Nationals are the only team, though. The Phillies are not rolling over. They're playing.
They play the Nationals two series, though. They play them 6 games.
Right, but look at what the Nationals just did to the Mets. You're saying they can't do that to the Braves either?
Yeah, for the Nationals, they want to play spoiler as well. They want the Nationals.
But you can make that same point to the Pirates and to the Cubs.
At this rate here, Tom.
No, but that's the same exact point. You could say Oakland would love to ruin the Mets season. Like it's
a different
completely different World Series.
Completely different.
The Mets don't have a winning. The Mets don't play a team above 500 or even approaching 500 until they play the Braves. The Braves have to play 2 series against the Phillies. That's 6 games at a team that's going to win 87, 88 games. I mean, the Phillies are on pace to win 87, 88 games. The Mets don't play anybody who's going to win over 70 in the next 3 weeks.
So, I mean, I'm just going to compare it to football, too. I'm going to compare it to football a little bit because the Giants could be terrible. And yet, if the Giants are playing all the years that the Jets were just awful, right? They're playing New England. It's still a division game. There's always going to be that, like, it happens all the time where the division team pops up a little bit more for the division rival. It's the same thing for the teams at the Nationals.
I don't listen. My point is the Braves don't have a gauntlet, and the Mets and Braves could very well play these games and have the same come into when does that series start? And also where
last weekend, whatever
last weekend. So September 30th in Atlanta. The teams could come in. It still could be a game and a half. And if it's one way more or the other, it's probably going to be pretty similar. It's the Braves might catch a little bit of ground if the Mets don't play well, or the Mets might catch a little bit of ground if the Braves don't play well. It's not like the Mets are going to show up in Atlanta with a 5-game lead. That's like, unless the Mets just don't lose, which they're a great team. They might not. But the Braves aren't playing the toughest competition as well. So
I'll agree. I don't think the Mets are going to open up. I think it's basically going to come down to that series against each other. And whoever walks out of that up is going to end up being the winner because nobody's losing the last series of the year. So what's
your ask? I know usually I kind of just yell at you.
I'll tell you my ask.
What do you want? Going in September 30th.
Atlanta with 3-game lead and
exactly.
I was going
to say the exact same thing. I want to go into Atlanta that last series, 3 games up. That guarantees that all you have to do is win 1. Win 1, you win the division. That's it. Anything less, I'm a little worried. And honestly, it would be great to just be up 4 by that last weekend. But
I will sacrifice it, and here's what the Mets need to do. I will sacrifice a game before the Braves series to ensure that DeGrom and Scherzer are pitching against the Braves. No matter what they do, and Scherzer's going to be fine. He's going to be back there. He's already throwing on the side. I'm not worried about that. You need your 2 horses, whether one does game 1, one does game 3. You need the both of them in Atlanta. If I go in that, even if I'm 1 game up and I know my 2 aces are going, I'll take my chances.
What's your thoughts if it's still 1.5?
If it's still 1, I mean, it is what it is. If I have my horses going, I feel confident. That's the bottom line. And
also,
listen,
for the record, too, following the big series between the Mets and Braves, the Mets go on and face the Washington Nationals 3 games at home. And for the Atlanta Braves, they'll be on the road to face the Marlins 3 games in Miami. So they're going to still face 2 division rivals after the fact that are going to try all they can to disrupt a playoff team.
I think you guys are looking more into that than I think exists. Like we don't live in the reality of like the 1950s where guys played on one team and like they hated the other. Like unless there's actual bad blood, like something we saw in Baltimore last week between the Jays.
Have done this.
I disagree with that. I feel like if you're with, I don't think these chance to disrupt somebody's playoff chances. They're going to do everything they can to win those games.
I think I personally think fans care about that a lot more than the players on the field do. You know,
but
I do. Because players move around so much. You have guys who have been on 5-6 different teams. They grew up with these guys. They don't. Yeah, listen. If there's bad blood, yeah, like I said, last week, the Orioles, my Orioles, obviously, and the Jays got into it. Now they're a division rival, but there was also, you could tell something was boiling over there.
You're also a professional athlete at the end of the day. None of these guys are just rolling over and dying, which is why.
Yeah, but then there's no point about saying the division. What's the difference? Okay, exactly. Then what's the difference between the Mets playing the Pirates, other than being bad, and the Braves play the Nationals? They're
I don't think there's an overall hunger there for the Oakland Athletics in the American League West Division than the Washington Nationals that are in the bottom of the NL East that can knock off a division rival.
I just think the players don't care as much as you think they do about that. They care about performing. They care about getting, they want to, improve their stats so they can, get better contracts and stuff. It does. If there's actual bad blood, listen, I haven't watched every Mets game this year, but if the Mets and Nats had scrapped a little bit, there's been some feistiness, then yeah, I totally agree with that. But if there hasn't been, I really don't think there's much of a difference for those guys.
I think at the end of the day, it's still a division rival. I don't know. That's just competitive nature in anybody. You're gonna get out more for a division game than you are against the A's. That's a good example. The A's are probably not getting up. If the A's are playing Houston, the A's are probably getting up a little bit more for Houston because that's your division rival. That's your team that you're going to play 19 times a year. Or, well, next year it'll be 13.
It's a reason why your team is not in the postseason. Why isn't there a competitive hunger there to try to disrupt
the Nats? The Nats aren't not in the postseason because of the Mets. They're not in the postseason because they stink.
Well, the Mets are a reason why they're not a postseason team. If the Mets weren't as good, the Nationals would have a better chance to make the playoffs.
I don't think a guy like Davey Martinez is going into the locker room and saying, "Hey guys, let's just roll over and die."
Yeah, and I don't think when they play the A's are saying, "Hey guys, who cares? It's someone from the NL."
I agree.
They're all trying. Listen, they're all trying.
Absolutely, they're all trying.
They're not trying more because
they're all trying. But if you don't think that for a division game they're getting up a little bit extra and there's a little bit more urgency, it's natural. That's just natural athletic competition.
I like
it. And again, I'm going to use the football now. Look at the Devils.
Wow, what a play by Lindor.
The Devils could be so bad, and the Devils are going to play the Rangers tougher. The Islanders, it always happens. It just always, for whatever reason, guys get up more for when it's a division rival in any sport. It's natural, completely natural. Always happens.
Listen, I'm sure if you asked this question, we would have been a lot more nervous 2 days ago. I think after what's happened the last few days, Met fans are a little bit back to feeling better about the team. They've only lost the lead one day. They got it right back. They've built it back thanks to the Mariners. Listen, one thing I will say that has given me more confidence than anything, I think the conversation is over. I don't care. If he is healthy, Jacob deGrom is the best pitcher I have ever seen in my lifetime. And I mean that. We watched Pedro at his peak. We've watched Maddox. DeGrom is better for what DeGrom is asked to do. He is better than all of them. He is that special. He is unbelievable in this. I saw a stat the other day out of, I think it's 205 starts. He has given up 0 or 1 earned run in 100 of them.
Yeah, it's literally 50%. I think it's 49%.
Absurd. And as long as he is healthy, and you want a group Scherzer in that's fine. But him in particular, and we saw it in the Dodgers game. When he's healthy, he's the ultimate trump card because you're not beating him on his best day, and that's the bottom line. And the Mets, as long as he is pitching and he can give you his 7 or 8 innings, the chances of you beating the Mets are extremely small. And it's just Dodgers is the prime example. Mookie gets the one. You got one shot at him. Mookie hits the home run. They lose 2-1. Mm-hmm. So for me as a Met fan, as long as I know, and Bassett went today, DeGrom's going tomorrow. As long as he's taking the mound every 5th day or 6th day, whatever it is, I'm okay. I know somebody's there.
I'll tell you what. Go ahead, Rich.
7 games, 1.66. Small sample size, but when this guy's healthy, he's the best at what he does.
John. I mean, I'll tell you what, too. At the end of the day, he's going to get paid wherever he wants, and it's going to come down just to talk about his free agency because I don't know if I'll be on to talk about it, but he's going to get paid a lot of money. And what it's going to come down to, because Cohen's going to match any dollar bill, it's going to come down to, does DeGrom want to stay here or does he want to go somewhere else? I don't think it's going to be a money thing. He's going to get paid. Cohen's going to match whatever the top dollar is, if not exceed.
It's going to be interesting to see the length a team is willing to give him, though, with his injury history. That's going to be, and he's not, it's basically a very similar conversation, although he does have a much more injury history than Judge does. That he is older. He's not a 28-year-old free agent, and he does have a lot of injury history. It's going to be curious to see what team is going to give him that 7-8 year contract, or because
he's not getting that. I see the most.
No one might give it to him.
Nobody's going to give him 7-8 years. He's only 34.
Not for an oft-injured pitcher. I think the rules are different.
34 years old. He's not.
I didn't think he was okay. I apologize. I didn't know he's 34. I thought he was a little younger than that. So
no, he's
8 years is not happening. But still, the same idea. So what do you think? I know we're kind of going off script here or whatever. But
we'll get there.
What kind of years, the kind of contract do you think he's going to want or he's going to command?
I think the number's 4 for 180 with an option.
I was going to say 4 for 200 with an option for a 5th year.
180 puts him at 45 a year, which is a $1.5 million more than Scherzer.
I think Cohen just blows him out and says 4 for 50 and 50 a year, and that's it. 5th option.
He'll have. There's a chance it could be 5 or 6 years contingent on Cy Young's or whatever, and I expect the money would eventually start to decrease in the option year. So I could see him ending up with a 5 at 5 year, 210, and the option, the 5th year is the option year, contingent on whatever it is.
All right,
be interesting.
I will say one more thing too. I know we got to get back on the schedule here, but I got to get my words in because I don't know when I'll be back on. I would like to stop seeing Joely Rodriguez pitch in the 8th inning of a 1-run game. That's it. That's all I got to say. I would like to see a little bit more.
I understand.
Throw Trevor Williams out there. I'd rather watch Trevor Williams pitch an inning than watch Joely Rodriguez not be able to get lefties out.
Why the Mets trade it for him?
And then
at least he's been out there. Miguel Castro has been a non-factor for the last 3 months.
He's been hurt. He's like, I'll take him over Joely. Joely Rodriguez is horrible.
I'll take anything over Joely Rodriguez. I would like to just see a little bit more.
I would take Aaron Hicks over Joely Rodriguez
to try to get through this next couple. I know Buck's trying to play the long game, and I'm okay with that. But at the end of the day, in a 1-run game, it's a 4-3 game. We cannot be throwing Joely Rodriguez in the 8th inning down a run. You just can't. You can't do it.
I love it when both teams end up sharing a player at some point. So you can just talk about like, oh, well, the Yankees had Joely Rodriguez. This is what you were getting yourselves into. We can get into Adam Ottavino. And Ottavino has been great for the most part, but we also know Ottavino was really bad.
I didn't really want to see him go. I like Ottavino.
Outside of Edwin Diaz, Ottavino's been the most consistent, and they're best reliever. Between the three of them, between Diaz, Lugo, and Ottavino, that's been the circle of trust, I guess we can call it. Those are the three guys that you feel the most confident with. Everybody else is just god awful. I cannot watch Joely Rodriguez anymore.
Otto was rough on his way out the Yankees. I remember he had some great,
they didn't let him pitch. They just
terrible. He was horrible in the postseason. But listen,
McGill and Drew Smith are starting rehab, so they should be back next week.
McGill's a big piece, possibly. I think McGill could be a little bit of a game changer in the back end of that bullpen. His stuff plays up to 1 inning. He'll be able to let it fly 97, 98, not have to worry about it. And I think that hopefully we'll see. Hopefully he gets a couple innings and we can get something out of him in the playoffs. That'd be nice.
Well, there's your Queen's Gambit. And that was a gambit. But we got to get back on track here. Make sure to follow us at Empire State of Baseball on Instagram, where we have all our preview polls and other activity. Of course, our Twitter at ESB Podcast, which is where the Twitch link is at. And we got most of our content is up on Twitter. So check us out there and give us a follow individually at JR Pugs. That's Joe. At T Wospil. 2 Spill. That's Tom. At Rich J Rivera. That's me. And give John a follow at J Hertz 1222. That's 2 Z's, 3 2's. And speaking of which, John, it's your time to shine, man. The Fantasy Hot Corner is back. And the fantasy baseball season, for the most part, winding down for most leagues as the regular season winds down. But John has a couple guys he wants to talk about. So, John, what do you got here? Fantasy Hot Corner.
Well, let's talk about a guy I actually just mentioned in the last segment. Let's talk about Mr. Diaz, Edwin Diaz. Spotlight. Talk about somebody that was ready to be
still talking about the Mets?
What's up?
We're still talking about the Mets here?
Yeah, you know what? We're going to talk about the Mets. So don't worry. The Yankees will get their little, I guess, segment.
I'm going to go back to reading Twitter.
All right, Tom, you're going on mute. Go ahead, John.
Well, you know what, Tom? I did do a Yankee on the last one, so it was time to do a Met. But Diaz, talk about a guy that the fans were ready to cast off. 1.5 ERA, 17 strikeouts per 9, 54 innings pitched, 102 strikeouts. That's just absolutely ridiculous.
Nuts.
I feel like relievers tend to get a little overlooked in fantasy, and in our league, especially this year, you've really seen what relievers can do for you. And Diaz has been the elite of the elite, and Mets fans are happy with his performance between his pitching, the trumpets, the whole 9 yards. The guy is a spectacle, at least for this season. We'll see what happens down the road, but got to be happy with him if you got him on fantasy too. So
I'm gonna hijack the hot corner for a second, because if we're going to talk about someone who is just coming back and just allow me to reintroduce myself, Mike Trout. Love to see him back. Hit another homer right now. He is absolutely on fire.
Wait, this is not the Fantasy Hot Corner hosted by Tom. This is John's time to shine. What the fuck you doing?
John just talked for 25 goddamn minutes. I want to talk about Mike Trout. I want to talk about Mike Trout.
Edwin Diaz is going to get Cy Young Award votes this year.
Lift my fantasy team into the semifinals by just hitting homer after homer.
I don't know what Tom's talking about. I don't give a shit. But Edwin Diaz
not helping the Angels win any actual games.
Don't give a shit. He's helping. He's helping my team win some games.
It's really phenomenal that Mike Trout's having such a great year, and Ohtani's so spectacle. No one cares. You know why? Because they're in 4th place.
Terrible.
Get over it.
We're talking about fantasy baseball, and I'm talking about Mike Trout hitting another home run.
He must be on your team. That's the only reason why you give a shit.
Yeah, that's what I started with.
That's why you did.
I got an alert that Mike Trout hit another home run, and it made me smile.
Wow! Congratulations, him and Ohtani.
I will say
another 4th place finish.
I don't know what that's to do with fantasy baseball, but John, it's a good attempt.
I just looked. Trout has 34 home runs, and
he sure does. He's missed like half the season.
That's unbelievable.
How many games?
That's an absurd pace.
Wait, and also, all joking aside,
he's hit a homer in 7 straight.
I was going to say, hasn't he hit a home run in 7 straight? I think
this is now 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Because he didn't play yesterday. He was off.
99 games.
So 7 straight games with a homer. You talk about who's hot, Mr. Trout.
He's hit all
of you, Michael.
Oh, God, he's a home run in a third of his games. It's ridiculous. Insane. Yeah. Good stuff. Mike Trout. But John, I know you're not finished. What else you got here?
Trout's owned in 100% of the league, so he can't be the.
You were just talking about Edwin Diaz.
No, he's the spotlight. Tom, do you watch the show?
Watch the show? I want the spotlight.
The player spotlight. Highlights this performance,
and I was spotlighting,
and then he talks about the pickup. So, John, from that point,
so I was spotlighting Mike Trout hitting a home run every goddamn day. He's no different than people owning Edwin Diaz, who's gonna be owning 100% of these.
But it's not the fantasy Tom corner.
It should be.
It should be like PTI.
The people
I
want
did it on
entertainment.
Yankee 2 weeks ago. I don't even remember who I did it on. That's how irrelevant, how much I care.
That's how awful the Yankee offense is.
All right, John, who is the player pickup for the week?
So my own, it's more of a advice thing. If you're in the playoffs, do what you got to do. If you got to cut ties with the guy that's owned in 100% of the league that is not producing at the moment, drop him. If you got a pitcher or a reliever, drop them if they're not producing right now, a.k.a. Corey Kluber giving up 7 runs in a third of an inning against the Yankees on Saturday night. But my pickup, I will say I got one. I'm going with Hunter Brown in Houston. He's got a nice schedule coming up this week against the Tigers in Oakland. 2 starts. If you need starts this week, go with Hunter Brown.
Oh, I'm going with Hunter Brown this week, John. I appreciate that. Love it. Hunter Brown. I'm hearing early comps to like Justin Verlander as far as like his pitching motion is concerned. So that's kind of cool after just 1 start in the big leagues. But yeah, Hunter Brown's got a couple good matchups there. You got Tigers tomorrow, Tuesday. So I went with the young right-handed pitcher, Hunter Brown.
All right, let's talk about the Yankees now. How about that? I know we got to talk about, they scored some runs for the first time in a month and a half. So
Well, absolutely, and we'll definitely talk New York Yankees and the Bronx is burning. But Tom, first, how could our fans follow us on YouTube for all the great content that we have up on the page? All 22 of the full episodes up on the page. What's the best way to listen?
Listen, we always appreciate you guys watching live. But if you want to watch me just embarrass John and Joe on replay over and over again, go over to our YouTube page, Empire State of Baseball. You can find it there. Joe posts a bunch of clips, usually ones that make me look bad and him looking like an angel.
Not that hard.
But listen, it's the life I live. But follow, take a trip over there, like, share, subscribe, and just get more replays of me embarrassing these two clowns.
Man, that's and it's only been 2 episodes, and the first episode you and John got along real well, and I was like, all right, this is cool. John filled in well for Corey there, and it was because Tom and Corey get along real well, and then today it's Tom. What is up, man?
I
miss Corey.
I really didn't
come at you
at all. I mean, you just tried to hijack the one segment I get, so it's all right.
I mean, Bassett just hung a curveball to Ortega, so it's 1-0 Cubs in the second.
Well, that is unfortunate for the Chicago Cubs. But let's move on for the New York Yankees portion of today's show. It is the Bronx is burning, and we can talk about, again, very similar conversation to what we had in the Queen's Gambit when we talk about the teams that are chasing the Yanks at the top of the division right now, barely holding on. Well, I can't really say barely, but they are holding on by a few threads after blowing the biggest lead in Major League Baseball, 15.5 game lead at the time. Now down to 5 games, I believe here, Thomas. Against Tampa.
It's 4.5, but it's so if we're talking Tampa, it's 5.5, but it's really 6.5 because they have the tiebreaker. So right. A tie goes to the Yankees. I don't know I know we have 1 series left with the Jays. I know they're just behind the Rays. I don't know what our season series is.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, effectively, I think it's 6.5 because
what's in the loss. I don't look at 5.5, 1.5. I look at loss column.
It's 4 in the loss column, but there's a lot of there's a different amount of games.
And Joe's got a good point.
Yeah, that's why I go by loss column.
You can't make up losses. You can only make up
wins, but teams also gonna losing is fine. So it's essentially it's 5 because it's 4 in the loss column, but a tie goes to the Yankees. There is no 163 to determine division winner or wild card, so it's 5.
So the Yankees, in a positive note, because for the last month or so, it's been a lot of negatives. Looking back on their schedule, looking at how many losses they've had, they are 12-8 in their last 20 games. So very nice trajectory, I guess, that they're going to get themselves back if they want to hold on to this division. 6-2 in their last 8 games. It's been a nice September for the team. And if you look at their upcoming schedule, they have a little bit of a lax schedule here. But again, you're playing the Red Sox. So the Red Sox are going to play hard because it's a division rival, even though they're done. But they play 6 games against the Red Sox, 2 on the road, and then 4 at home. They play the Pirates for a couple, the Brewers. That'll be an interesting series. And then they get Toronto for 3 games. So that will be huge. So again, very similar light to the Mets. You're going to play a couple of crap teams, and then you're going to play the team that's chasing you, or one of the teams that's chasing you the most. So you're looking at that schedule, and the Yankees came off their series against Tampa Bay, taking 2 out of 3. A huge weekend for the Yanks. They're going to have the tiebreaker between Tampa Bay and themselves, at least for the season series. So that's a good thing if it comes down to it. But Tom, who should this team feel threatened the most by, Toronto or Tampa Bay, as the season dwindles?
I think at this point it has to be Toronto, just because I think Jack Curry broke it down on one of the post games the other day. If the Yankees go like 11-10 for the rest of the season, the Rays would have to go like 19-4. Like they'd have to win an absurd amount of games. They don't play the Yankees anymore, so there's no way to make that up. So the Yankees could basically tread water, and the Rays are done. Now the Jays, obviously, we have 3 more games against them. I'm trying to figure out what the record is this year against the Jays, so I don't have that right now. But yeah, I mean it's basically they're just as far back, and they have 3 games against them. So as long as the Yankees can tread water and not get swept by the Jays, they should win the division. They'd have to play really bad to lose it at this point, which we've seen they're capable of playing really bad. So,
absolutely. And maybe I should have asked this question: who should feel threatened? Who should the Yankees feel threatened the most by? Tampa Bay, Toronto, or themselves just imploding for the rest of the season? So.
I think that's themselves, if I'm being honest, because they if they don't get swept by the Jays and they just don't play 300% winning baseball, they win the division.
Right.
So
listen,
but they're capable of playing that.
Yankees aren't losing the division. The Rays basically got to, I think, within 4 games, and then the Rays proceeded to drop 2 more. So you know what? The Rays had their chance this week. They've pretty much blown their one opportunity, which was to make a run after you took a couple games from the Yankees. The Yankees were sweating, they were reeling on their heels, but you know what? They didn't close it out. And I never thought that the Rays had enough to do it. Listen, but I don't think that's important anymore, because I think the Yankees have basically shown baseball that they are not going anywhere this year. You're going to make the playoffs. Yes, you might beat Minnesota like you did every single season, every single year.
Oh God, wouldn't it be nice?
But like, you're not.
It's like in October. It's like an early Christmas present when like the Yankees get in the playoffs. Like, who are we gonna play? It's like, oh, it's the Twins.
I know. If
this is gonna be the year, though. I'm telling you, we're all saying it, and this is the year where they're gonna get absolutely lit up by
schedule. I would just play a bunch of AL Central teams, right, John?
I mean,
the AL Central. The AL Central is the biggest joke in Major League Baseball. It is the most embarrassing division in all of baseball, and all of sports besides the NFC East in football. You want to talk about despicable? I pulled out a number for you. You ready for it?
He's got an AL Central number. He hates it so much.
No, just the Twins. We're picking on the Twins. The whole division's terrible. The Twins, ready? Since 2002 in Yankee Stadium, guess their record. Take a guess. Come on, Tom. Give me a record.
Splash. Didn't it splash the other day?
Yeah, it's like it was just in Yankee Stadium.
Isn't it like 100? Isn't it like something nuts? Like 150?
I know if the Yankees played the Twins over every game over 162 game season, they would on average win 120 games. But it's worse at home. So I don't know. The Yankees are winning at like a 900% at home. Whatever the record is.
Since 2002 at Yankee Stadium, the Twins are 13-50. 13-50.
Oh, yeah.
And then hold on, then that stat, right? If you take every game between the Twins and Yankees since 2002, the Twins are 37-96, a 278 winning percentage that would translate to a 45-117 record over the course of an entire season. It's embarrassing. It's being the tallest midget. If you win the AL Central, congratulations. Here's your first round exit, whoever it is, to the Yankees, unless you don't play them. And the only way that the teams have gotten to the World Series, but here the Indians got to the World Series, they didn't play the Yankees. It's amazing. It is the most embarrassing division. It's despicable. It's just a punching bag for the rest of the league. If you win it, congratulations. You get a participation trophy for coming to the playoffs this year.
Oh, yeah.
Congrats.
Also, I looked it up. So the Yankees are 9-7 against the Jays this year. So if they get swept, they do lose the tiebreaker. If they win one game against the Jays, they will hold the tiebreaker against the Jays as well.
There you go. But as far as the Twins go, love them. Oh, they're my favorite team in all of baseball.
Oh, yeah, of course. The Yankees.
Beautiful stadium.
The Yankees are in a slump. Who's coming into town for 4 games against the Yankees? Here come the Twins to right the ship. It's always
like an old broken-in shoe. You put it on, it just feels nice. It's comfortable. It's versatile. It's never going to let you down.
If Rob Manfred should just be thrown in jail for allowing the Guardians to be the 3 seed going into the playoffs.
The Guardians
they win their division, they automatically get the 3 seed. But based on the current standings, the Blue Jays would play the Guardians, and the winner of that would then play the Yankees. The Mariners and Rays would face off and then play the Astros. But at this particular point, I think the Yankees, whatever they built up in the first half of the season, has been eroded in terms of aura around them and people thinking that the big bad Yankees, which is part of what makes the Yankees. Small market teams in particular have trouble facing the Yankees because they are, in fact, the Yankees. No matter who is on that team, They have an aura around them. This year, I feel like that has eroded now. I don't think the Astros certainly aren't scared of them.
We know Astros on a small market team.
Right. We know the Rays and Blue Jays aren't scared of them.
They're division rivals, which matters more than anything else, apparently.
I'm telling you, I would not want to face the Mariners this year. The Mariners are a good baseball team. And I don't see a situation where the Yankees have been playing poorly for such a long stretch now that they can find a way to turn it back on to the way they had it in the first half of the year. I don't think they have enough to beat a top team in this league.
The only team the Yankees should be scared of, but outside of the division, is Houston.
100%.
If they have to play the Mariners, the Yankees are going to sweep them in 3 games or 4 games, whatever.
I don't know about that.
You're sleeping on the Mariners, man.
They are going to run them over because the Mariners are AL Central adjacent. They are just as fraudulent as the AL Central is. They will run into the Yankees and they will get embarrassed because they're another one. I would love to see their record against the Yankees since 2002 or whatever the Twins number was.
I don't know about that because they haven't been in the playoffs since what? It was like 2001.
It's them and the Phillies, right? Aren't they the 2 longest streaks?
Young squad. I would be scared shitless facing the Mariners.
Absolutely not.
They are young, athletic. They are not going to be outplayed on the field by the Yankees. The only thing that's going to be the question mark is are those starting pitchers in the key games going to be able? Are you going to trust a Logan Gilbert? We know Robbie Ray's been shaking. Are you going to trust a Logan Gilbert? What can Luis Castillo do? They can match the Yankee pitchers, but is that Yankee offense? Can that Yankee offense bludgeon some of those pitchers? That's the question. But that team is going to compete. That team is not going to go away. Julio Rodriguez. You got Jesse Winker, who's a gamer. You got Mitch Haniger if he get healthy. J.P. Crawford. They are a young, exciting team. They run the bases fantastically. They are going to put pressure on the Yankees at every single point. I don't know if I want to volunteer. They're not. I'd run to face the Guardians. I don't know if I'd run to face the Mariners this year.
I mean, they're not going to play. Listen, they're not going to play the Mariners in the first. The Yankees. They're not going to play the Mariners in the first round unless the Yankees don't win the division. They will play the Guardians.
Listen, I'd rather see them than the Astros, but that's not the point.
Well, yeah, but that's how it's gonna shake out. There's really no way around it. Now, granted, in the LCS, you want to be the top seed, so you get the extra home game. But in that first division round in the AL, you would much rather be the 2 seed and play the Guardians than have to play the Mariners, the Jays, or the Rays.
The Blue Jays can still jump the Mariners, and the Mariners could end up being.
That wouldn't matter. Yeah, but they're still gonna. Yeah, but the 2 seed still won't play them in the first round. The 2 seed plays. The 2 seed's gonna play the AL Central. Yeah, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter the record.
The 3 seed is gonna play the 6 seed.
What?
Right.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. So as long as the Yankees win the division, they will play the Guardians.
Right. As long as
if the Jays jump over the Yankees,
they will play the winner of Guardians and the 6th seed.
All right. Well, I'm about to.
Sure. No. You're right. You're right. I forgot.
If the Jays, I think only a game separates them. If the Jays jump them, then the Mariners would be the 6th seed, and you'd face the winner of the Mariners and Guardians.
No, you're right. I keep forgetting that they added a 3rd wild card, so it's not just the. Yeah, you're right. Everyone, I said it. Joe's right.
Wow.
Oh.
Clip it, Joe. Clip it.
Clip it, Joe. Joe's gonna clip that, and he's just gonna clip it where it says Joe's right, and he's just gonna post it under every.
And the other thing about the Mariners. And I
don't even have control of the show, so you can't blame me for that. Well, I guess you kind of can blame me for that and my birds, but
the other thing about the Mariners, and there's always something about this with baseball. We said this with the Cubs when they won. The Mariners have one thing that no other team, at least in the AL, has. They have karma on their side. They have been beaten down for 2 decades now. I never, ever want to face a team coming off that big of a drought. because that team and that city is
copy
hungry.
paste Twins into that sentence.
But the Twins have been there. They get beat by the Yankees every year, and then one year they're going to.
It's a lot of karma. Who has more karma against the Yankees than the Twins could possibly have?
But no. Well, I mean, the last time the Mariners made the playoffs, they were the best record in the history of baseball, and the Yankees beat them in the first round.
Sure did.
But the Twins are trying to be smart. They added Yankees and they added former Astros to try to beat the Yankees if it comes down to it. Yeah. So we'll see if that ever comes to fruition. But yeah, the Yankees schedule is going to be another. Again, this is not an easy test when you're facing the Red Sox 6 times in this, leading into the Blue Jay series. This can go a variety of ways, but the way the Yankees have been playing. You can only think negative thoughts.
I think you said it. I think you said it, Rich. I think the Yankees' biggest enemy down the stretch is themselves. Mm-hmm. The Yankees on paper should win the division. They should win it by whatever it is right now, 4 or 5 games. It shouldn't be close. The Rays and the Blue Jays should not get that close. Their biggest concern is themselves. Take care of business against the terrible Red Sox, the terrible Pirates. The same way we're talking about the Mets. They're their own worst enemy. Again, I mean, the only thing with the Mets is something bad happened in the Met game.
Fast against me in fantasy, so I'm full with
that. Keith Hernandez stubbed his toe, and Joe is just distraught over it.
Bassett's just giving up homers left and right.
Well,
can't win them all.
Like I said, at the end of the day, I think the Yankees' biggest concern is handling business themselves, and as long as they do that, they're going to win the division.
I do love that you guys started this episode with saying, like, we don't overreact. We overreact. We felt so bad, but now I feel amazing. And Joe hasn't looked sadder than he was wearing that jersey 2 weeks ago right now. And it's one more like Joe, it's one game, my guy. You're fine.
No, I know. I just, it's listen.
When you're September baseball now, so it's like every game's important. So yes, any home run you give up hurts a little more than it did last month.
Can we stop giving up home runs to no-name
guys batting 220?
Listen, Street. Who is that? That's a Dodger reject. I remember him. Complete reject.
If the Yankees ever did blow this division lead, you back up the truck and everyo's getting fired. Every single person. And
honestly, there's part of me that thinks there's a 5% part of me, like a chaotic part of me, that wants to see that happen, just to see, because I know I've gone on the record. I don't blame Boone for all this because he's just doing what he's told. But
I'd be fired tomorrow.
But like you would, I mean, I don't. Boone getting fired doesn't move the needle. It's Cashman getting fired that moves the needle, because they're going to replace Boone with Brett Boone. Who knows? They're going to just put someone else in there. It's going to do the same thing.
Bob Boone. The ripple effect that would happen. I think he's dead. The ripple effect that would happen, it would be insane. And that's why, like, I'm in to see that chaos. At the same time, this team did blow a historic fucking lead, and I hate to see it.
They blow that lead. Everything, all bets are off.
That's the problem with it, is Judge is gone then, unless Hal gives them
fire everyone down to the people selling the damn tickets. At that
point, they're not going to blow it. At the end of the day, what happened was the Yankees got out to such a ridiculously good start that all that happened was they just came back down to normal. That's it. That's all it is. They were not. You guys, come on, let's be real. We knew that at the beginning they were playing a little over their heads, and it just came back down there. That's all it is. You knew this. You knew the Blue Jays were going to turn it on. You knew the Rays were going to turn it on. It's the same thing with the Mets and the Braves. The thing is, the Braves have been hot since June 1st, and the Mets have just been able to kind of just stay at that pace with them. The thing with the Yankees was the league got so big so early that it was the best team ever.
And injuries have killed them. Injuries have been awful. They had some rough moves at the deadline that didn't work out. The Benintendi thing's unfortunate. That shit's just unfortunate. And if the Yankees get knocked out of the playoffs, I'm going to say right now, if the Yankees do get knocked out of a playoff spot, and I don't think they will, I'm going to go back to that Benintendi injury and saying that's when the season ended right there. That's when the fucking season ended. Because guys that have stepped up into that position where he would have been did not contribute for this team. So, and they have not. So that's that. Great summary there, John, because the first half Yankees were the coolest fucking team in baseball. They were the best team. They were Daemon Targaryen cool. Now they stink. They are awful. So we'll see what happens.
How cool I mean,
Daemon Targaryen's the fucking man in House of Dragon. Are you kidding? We can get into
I don't know how much I don't want to get into it, but there's been some questionable decisions he has made. I'll just say that.
It's part of the show.
I forgot about that whole part.
All right, we'll talk about it after the show. Make sure to give us a follow and subscribe for one last time at Empire State of Baseball on Instagram, at ESP Podcast on Twitter. Everybody individually here, make sure to subscribe to Empire State of Baseball on Twitch, and of course, subscribe to us on YouTube, where all our good content is at. Let's finish our show up with Guess the Graph here. This is Tom's baby. So John, feel free to hijack this segment like he did to you.
Listen,
so
if you can come up with a better I came up with a better hot player. So if John wants
your segment,
call a spade a spade. You were just upset it was a Met, and we just talked about the Mets. It's okay.
No, I'll be honest. I looked at my phone and I saw that he had literally hit another home run, and I was just so happy I had to talk about it.
Notice when I gave the segment for the Yankees, he didn't say anything. It was okay, but
no,
Mike Trout was still hurt then. So
yeah, he gave Nestor Cortez a great highlight. It was nice to talk about Nestor for a little bit before he got hurt. But so here we go. Tom, what we got here? Guess the graph. Oh no, you can't tell us. We got to tell you. All right.
Yeah.
So keep your mouth shut. John, what are we thinking here, man?
Jeez.
Cliff Floyd.
No, but listen, no, like it's wrong, but you're seeing something in there that is right. I'll say that.
Clay Holmes.
Not Clay Holmes, but you're seeing the same correct thing. That is a C.
It's a C. Okay. All
right. Clint Frazier.
No, we've done Clint Frazier already. It's not.
No,
the Red Rifle.
Yeah, we did Clint Frazier. Yeah, we did Clint Frazier because everybody thought it was Corey Favalora, and it wasn't. It was Clint Frazier.
It's not CC Sabathia.
Nah, CC has like a weird one.
Yeah.
His signature is just like just two big C's. I don't have one, but I think it's just like two big C's.
I like Lex's. Carlos Beltran.
It is not Carlos Beltran.
Great guess. Usually Corey is the one that kind of monitors or whoever is doing this monitors.
I'll follow the.
I'll follow
the chat. It is Clark Griswold. That is not. But I will say that is more right than some of the other guesses.
Oh, is it Clark Schmidt?
No.
Damn it. Let's ask some questions here. Is the affiliation with the Yankees or the Mets or neither?
Yankees.
Of course. I feel shocked.
That was a stupid question.
I mean, I get them from
not
spring
Cameron
training.
Maben, is it?
It's not Cameron Maben.
Cody Ransom.
Oh God, no! I wouldn't waste a $21 ball on Cody Ransom.
Damn.
So,
Chris
pitcher
Hardman.
or fielder?
Pitcher.
Oh, pitcher.
Pitcher?
Okay. Pitcher. C. What decade are we talking about here? Are we talking 90s, 2000s, 2010s, 2020s?
The current era.
Okay, so current player.
Yeah.
Okay, current player might be with the team, might not be with the team.
Chad Green.
It is Chad Green.
Oh, Chad
Clark
Griswold.
He had the initials, so
he has
getting there.
Yeah, you're right. Lexington.
Yeah, you can see a C, you can see a G in there. I don't know what's before the G. That just looks like a 3.
Wiggle. Looks like you screwed up.
Yeah, it could have been, but
yeah, it was one of those.
Yeah, what? I wish. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, listen, some of these guys are just kind of flying through them.
I'm just gonna just say that probably pitchers just don't have good autographs there. I mean,
pitchers don't sign autographs a lot actually normally because they're on such a schedule and their throw days, so it's actually a lot harder to get pitchers to sign a ball than it does position players. Position players kind of just stick around half the time. So
yeah, I would think. Obviously not for the big Swisher point. That's an autograph we'd love to see one day, because that one's just rough. But
where is it? Is it easily accessible?
Probably not.
No,
probably
kind of stuff's got moved around up here. These are all moving at some point, so.
Probably not. Tom's got a lot of baseballs back there. It's actually kind of crazy. But all right, it's Chad Green. Good stuff, John. On the guest.
Miss you, Chad.
Chad Green getting hurt. Like he was like the first Yankee to go down with an injury that ended their season. So Chado, I think it's free agent at the end of the year too. So might have seen the last of him in the Yankee pinstripes, but we did not see the last of him on this show. He is our guest, the Graph. All right, guys, let's call it a show. We went a little bit over time, just in time for the kickoff here of Monday Night Football. And I know a bunch of you guys have fantasy implications, survivors, or whatever you guys.
No, I'm out my survivor pools.
You also took the Titans.
The Colts and Titans.
Oh yeah, so, I took the Titans. I get one buyback though, so I will. I'll be using my buyback, and yeah,
I got a buyback too. I used the Titans, and of course it burned me on the first week. And then my fantasy team in the big league looks like complete crap. So I'm just really thrilled to the start of week 1. Yeah.
Great. So it hasn't worked out for a few of our hosts here. I don't even have any fantasy football teams, so I'm fine. I like.
Well, if it's not about baseball, Rich doesn't know anything. So let's just call a spade a spade.
All right, let's call it.
Just said Rich doesn't know anything about it. You could have just said Rich doesn't know anything about anything.
He knows baseball. He knows baseball. Yeah. That's about it.
My brain shuts off.
It's really funny when Rich becomes a really big Ranger fan when the Rangers are good, though. That one's really funny.
Couldn't name 5 guys on the roster.
The show was supposed to end 6 minutes ago, and it should have. All right, Tom, who do you got to thank?
Gordon Kreider, that's in his nose.
Rich knows about wine. Yes, he has a wine connoisseur.
Yes, I'm a wine connoisseur. All right, Tom, what do you got?
And a sushi.
I'll thank Aaron Boone.
I never pride myself on a sushi expert all of a sudden. Like, I just go to sushi restaurants.
Bro, you are at sushi places at least twice a week.
No, that's not true.
You guys are hijacking my thank you. I'm getting very offended.
All right, Tom, who do you got to thank?
I want to thank Aaron Boone for benching Aaron Hicks.
All right.
We haven't really talked about that at all, but that was one of the most embarrassing efforts. It looked like Aaron Hicks looked like he was playing on Rich's softball team. Like Rich would have benched him off the ball busters for that effort.
Aaron Hicks would never be a ball buster. That would be a disgrace to our franchise. John, anybody want to shout out here?
Ball buster softball Sunday morning.
Hell yeah!
See who we're playing.
I love that. I love that shout out. That's great. Thanks for joining us once again, John. Hope to have you on soon. We'll hear from you in 2 weeks when you go uninterrupted on your next fantasy hot corner. And
the season's over by then. What am I doing a fantasy hot corner on?
Oh, that's true. You're fired. All right, Joe.
I think I gave my thank you to the 2 NFL teams that ruined my fantasy suicide pool, survivor pool aspirations.
Yep.
So I guess we're not getting $8,000 this year, honey. So yeah, that's about it. I do like a couple of my fantasy teams, so I'm beating a couple of people like Rented Mules right now. That's a nice one.
Very nice. Good. Awesome. Beating them like Rented Mules. Good stuff on the fantasy picks, Joe. I want to thank your teams that knocked you out of those survivor pools as well. And want to thank everybody for joining us here. I know we ran a little late here, a little 8 minutes past the hour. But thanks for joining us on the new start time at 7 o'clock p.m. We'll be back here at 7 with Corey Fabs back in action as the regular season comes to a close. We'll see you here next week. Take care.